Welcome to Augustana Sportscene. It's your weekly look inside Augie Athletics, and I'm your host, Carla Metts. Well, the fall sports schedule is winding down as playoff opportunities approach. The Augustana football team just captured their third straight win, and they've only got 2 more games left in the regular season. The Vikings volleyball team fell in both of their matches this past weekend, and we're going to talk with Coach Meske a little later about some takeaways from those losses. We're also going to introduce you to an Augie cross-country runner. Before we get there, we're going to take a look back at a few highlights from this past week. Vikings receiver Matt Hiller had a career day on Saturday against the Upper Iowa Peacocks. He caught 7 passes for 169 yards and 2 touchdowns. Augustana came out strong in the first half, leading the Peacocks 31-3, but the Peacocks came back fighting in the second half and outscored the Vikings 17-10. Kirkby Ora led the Vikings defense with a career high of 14 tackles. Jackson Rinda added 7 solo tackles, 9 overall. Quarterback Trey Hyde passed for 269 yards and completed 3 touchdown passes. However, Upper Iowa was able to hold the Vikings to 91 rushing yards for the day. And a little love to special teams. Lucas Wainman broke his own school record, making a 54-yard field goal and punted 6 times for 270 yards. And although the Peacocks made it a closer 14-point game in the fourth quarter, the Vikings pulled out a 41-20 win. Moving on to volleyball, number 20 Augustana dropped to MSU Moorhead this past Friday. Augustana had a strong start in the first set. The Dragons were able to cut the lead 16-14, but a block by Becca Finley and Sydney Huntsley helped them take the set 25-22. Augustana fell behind in set 2 and 3, but were able to come back in set 2 with a 27-25 win. Set 4 and 5 were Dragon dominant, 25-21 and 16-6. Despite the disappointing loss, Lauren Waite posted her 3rd straight match of double-digit kills with 19. Ashley Wilson followed with 11, and Brittany Check had 9. Augustana would take on number 2 Northern State on Saturday in Aberdeen. The Vikings didn't get their first lead until set 3, but the Wolves struck back with a 10-1 run to take the lead and would later take the set and the match. Augie was led offensively by Ashley Wilson and Lauren Waite, who each had 10 kills. Brittany Check took 6 for the night, and Becca Finley and Danny Magis added 5 of their own. The Vikings soccer team was able to shut out Southwest Minnesota State on Friday 1-0. The first half was slow for both teams, although Meg Thacker and Sam Timkowitz both had chances to score. The Vikings came out strong in the second half with a mission to take the lead, but the game's only goal wouldn't come until the 71st minute, when Stephanie Stevens took her own rebound to get the point. Augustana continued their winning ways with a 3-0 victory against the University of Sioux Falls on Sunday. The victory put them at 15 wins for the season, passing their 14-win record from last season. Emily Jacobson gave the Vikings the lead in the 32nd minute when she took a pass from Taylor Brown-Rigg, beating the goalie in the left corner from 25 yards out. Jacobson would get her 2nd goal of the game in the second half, getting the rebound from a free kick by Stephanie Stevens. The Vikings would get another point and secure the win in the 89th minute by Julie Plunsky after getting an assist from Sam Timkowitz and Allie Brown. The 3-0 win would also secure the number 2 seed for the Vikings in the NSIC tournament. Well, after the break, we're going to meet up with football head coach Jerry Olszewski to talk about the big win against Upper Iowa this past weekend. We'll be right back.
Being part of a great team means you know your role and you work your role to the best of your ability. If you're consistently going to show up and be your best, you're going to be part of that team. You can see the success they have over time. It's not just 1 year flash in the pan. It's consistent success over time, which makes them great. And that's where the work ethic comes in. The ability to come into work, do the same thing repeatedly, day after day after day, and putting your best foot forward is going to separate you from the rest.
Choose the experts. Choose Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
You want more from your home improvement store? Don't waste your entire weekend wandering through a maze of aisles and crowds trying to find some newbie big box store employee who's avoiding you and your questions like Bigfoot avoids photographers. Head to Schoenemann's instead, where you'll find answers and everything you need without the hassle, hoopla, and headaches. From questions to complete projects, look to the experts at Schoenemann's, Sioux Falls, and Harrisburg.
Welcome back. Upper Iowa's defense is ranked number 2 in the NSIC, and they put up quite a fight against the Vikings this past weekend, holding them to 91 rushing yards. Now, Coach OJ says that he and his team aren't quite where they want to be, but he said they learned a lot after this past weekend's win.
All right, thanks, Carla. Jerry, a 7th win and also perfect so far at Kirkby Over Stadium after the victory, jumping ahead 31-3, an advantage over Upper Iowa at halftime.
Yeah, it was fantastic. We wanted to start fast in this game. We knew the challenges that Upper was going to bring to our football team. Kirkby Over is a great place for us to play. We want to make sure KO is the home field advantage that it needs to be, and our kids have responded to that incredibly well. I think we've scored 41 points every game or more every game this year at home, so kept that alive as well. Just really pleased how we came out, took care of business, and the second half, learned some things about ourselves. The good thing is almost every defensive player played. I think we had 6 turnovers on the day defensively, so we did some really good things from that perspective. Offensively, it wasn't quite the day that we've become accustomed to, but every team is going to have that game where you don't quite get it, don't quite hit it. And with that said, we still had 34 points on the board offensively, so it's a good win for the Vikings.
And you're probably finding as the season unfolds is that everybody's picking up everybody else, meaning if the offense isn't clicking, defense is there, again with those 6 turnovers. Plus, what Augustana has been known for, especially this year, special teams, it was a different part of special teams in Lucas Wayman.
Yeah, and Lucas had a school record. Bangs that thing and looked at me prior to the kick and said, "I want it, Coach. I'll make it." And when I've been with him a long time, I've seen him since high school, and when he gave me those eyes, I knew that he had a good chance of putting it down. So gave him the opportunity, and he nailed it. And he also punted incredibly well. He was a big factor in this game because field position was pretty big for us in the second half, and he launched some bombs in the punting game. So I thought Lucas played incredibly well, and of course he was complimented on a great kickoff return of our own to really truly win the special teams battle.
Plus the special teams, you've always been so happy with your coverage, especially on punts with the gunners. Not an easy job to be.
And Jason and Justin, we're going to miss those guys so much in this program, and I think people are becoming to understand how important they are and beginning to appreciate their level of expertise in what they do, not only on the offensive side but also on the special teams. I mean, Jason takes a 96-yard touchdown kickoff return, and I believe they made all but one tackle on the return units, or return coverage guys, I should say. And then the one penalty was blocking, I believe, Justin in the back. So he would have made that play. They're just incredible young men and having a great year for us.
Offensively, everyone seems to have a game where they step up. Matt Heller's been pretty consistent all year, but what a game he had Saturday.
We needed him to. They were kind of in and out, Charlie, a little bit. Charlie Hayes was getting some double stuff on him a little bit, not all the time, but enough. And that's a good defensive unit. Hats off to Upper Iowa. They're playing very good defense. They're sound. They understand gaps, and they play fast. So we knew that we were going to have our challenges on Saturday. So I'm really pleased that Matt stepped up and made some really great catches. He really did. And what he did after the catch, yards after catch, was just as important. Came back to the ball and ended up making some huge plays for us that were needed in this contest.
And again, Augustana's defense, the Tampa 2, the gap execution. We talked briefly about tackling, first half versus second half. How did you see?
Yeah, I thought a great improvement. We talked with the defensive staff at halftime. Coach Bergstrom, again, put a great plan together with the rest of our staff. And our kids understand our plan. Every week when we go in, they understand our plan. They know what they're supposed to do and how they're supposed to do it. I love how fast we play. We probably could have had a couple more turnovers in there, but we got off the field on downs a few times. And the biggest one for me, to be honest with you, Brad, is the time where we turned it over. We threw a pick in the beginning of the second half down in their half. And our defense goes and doesn't allow a first down, and they end up kicking a field goal. That was a huge part of me to say our defense is back and they're getting better. Yes, we still have to improve, no question about it, but really proud of how our kids stood up at that moment and just fought to give the field goal.
Improve, compete, encourage, week in, week out. Now, you're really heading into some ground that is very interesting for Augustana. Not to look too far ahead, because each week is 1-0. I get that. But it's an opportunity to put yourself into a position that you see a postseason opportunity.
Yeah, it's exciting, and this is a huge game for us going to Winona, a good football team that just beat Mankato 2 weeks ago, played well against Wayne this past weekend, is feeling good about themselves, and rightfully so. But for our kids, you're right. It's a one-win season. It's a one-game season. We talked about job one. Do the ones right. Do the one series, one play, one game. And I was really pleased with our kids. So we'll look at the big picture of it. But I did tell them this: the pen is your hand. What story do you want to write? This is literally your opportunity for all the hard work you've put in and all the people that said we couldn't. This is your chance to prove them wrong and just doing what we do. Just be us. Don't be anything more than what we are. Execute at a high level. Let us be the standard. We'll set the bar, not someone else. And I think our kids are excited for that.
As you preview this game with Winona State on the road, Jack Nelson, their junior quarterback, and Trey Hyde, numbers are very, very similar.
They are. I recruited Jack, really, really good family, great player, incredible arm, big man, big arm. And they use them well. What they do, they with two wonderful wide receivers, and Josh Mikes and Al May, they can spread the field. And of course, Paul Preston. The big story is how small Paul Preston is. Well, Paul Preston's an effective running back that gets hidden behind that line. So defensively, they're going to come with a bunch of different looks. There'll be a 3-4 personnel and getting a 4-3 and run some cut stuff. Tampa 2. I mean, they do a lot of things defensively. So it'll be a good week for our kids coming off of Upper Iowa. A little bit of awakening that you need to finish the job you start. It's a road game, our last road regular season game of the year. It's their senior day, so you're going to get a great effort from them. But Jack is a good player, and he can sling that thing around the yard. So we have to make sure that we are up to the challenge defensively in all aspects, and then offensively play equally as well or better.
Red zone has been very good for you on both sides of the ball. Red zone defense may be one of the keys in this contest at Winona State, as your red zone offense is also one of the best in the conference.
Yeah, we really emphasized that in this past offseason. We really spent time on it. Our staffs have talked to different people, looked at things that we need to improve on, and I think we put ourselves in decent situations, but at the same time, have stubbed our toes a couple times in the last few weeks. So that's good to put our kids to the test, too, and say, keep setting the standard. Keep being where you are, because we are one of the better ones, and we want to stay there.
All right, best of luck at Winona.
Thanks so much, Brian.
All right, thanks, Jerry.
The Augustana football team has their last regular season road game against the Winona State Warriors this weekend, and kickoff for that game is set for 1 p.m. Well, when we return, it will be time to review the volleyball team's matches with Coach Dan Meske. Be sure to stay tuned.
The Volkswagen Passat Limited Edition. Dollar for dollar, it's an amazing value. Let's add up the worth of its standard features, like a rear-view camera, keyless access, heated front seats, and more.
But what really tips the scales is that you get all this value for this surprisingly low price. That's $1,200 in savings. I usually hate being on scales, but this is nice.
At Graham Automotive, West 41st Street, Sioux Falls, or online at grahamvw.com.
Noah, are you about ready to go? Don't forget your football. Thanks, Mom.
You promised to never miss a game, and with iMed Mobility, you never have to. From handicap accessible vans to wheelchair lifts and driving aids, iMed makes it easier to be there for all of life's important moments. iMed Mobility, providing life-changing experiences for all our customers.
Welcome back. Well, the volleyball team season is coming to an end, but a chance at the conference tournament is still very much alive. Although the team is coming off 2 losses, Coach Meske says that the team was able to learn some fundamental lessons this past weekend.
All right, thanks a lot, Carla. Dan, a crucial point in the season to reach 20 wins, make the Northern Sun Intercollegiate Conference postseason tournament in the next couple of weeks. Postseason play the Vikings missed last year, and right now it's 4 teams vying for 3 spots.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about our conference and the way that the schedules kind of shook out for us. Mankato, Winona, Upper Iowa, and ourselves are fighting for 3 spots, and we get to play all 3 of those teams. So I look at that as a great opportunity. If we want to be in the conference tournament, we got to earn it against the teams that are fighting for it right alongside us.
Dan, a heartbreaking weekend too at Minnesota State University Moorhead, then at Northern State. Before we get into the specific matches, just break down what you learned and what the team took away from the weekend.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to take away from the weekend is that your fundamentals have to be sound. And at this point in the year, it's not teams that are doing super advanced offensive systems or anything like that that ends up beating you. It's a fundamental breakdown. So for us, against Moorhead, we passed great for 2 sets, and then after that, Moorhead made a couple of adjustments, and we just couldn't catch up, and our passing really broke down. So fundamentally, we broke down. That unfortunately carried over into night 2, and it ended up being a weekend we wish we had another shot at.
Well, let's get after it. At Minnesota State University Moorhead, good start, set 1, even greater start, up 9, and you win by 3. And then set number 2, you win 27-25. Let's just talk about the front end of that match.
Yeah, the front end was, I told the team even after the match, that's as proud as I've been of our girls all year. The coaches, we actually made an error and messed up the lineup in set 1. So our girls had to really adjust on the fly. We had some different play sets that we had to run because we had different people in different spots, and the girls did a great job with it. So that was really cool for them to see. We figured things out and corrected it for set 2, and then caught ourselves in a really, really tight match, or in a really, really tight set at the end, about 23-24 we were down, and our girls gutted out a victory there. So going into the break, we felt like, hey, we're on the right track here, we're doing some good things, and like I said, unfortunately our fundamentals broke down in set 3, and we were just playing catch up the rest of the night.
Yeah, Augustana University loses next 3 sets as the back end of the match didn't go as planned for Augustana, losing that 5th set 15-6. So we talk about the front half, what really then broke down in the second half.
Yeah, the third set really kind of set the tone for the rest of the night. I hadn't seen this all year, but both teams hit negative in that set, and Moorhead ended up, they controlled the set the whole way, and that's kind of been their MO. They've beaten some good teams this year, bringing their hitting percentage way down. They'll play a team that hits 250, and they'll beat them and hold them to 088, and they maybe hit 090. And that's totally Moorhead's game, and unfortunately, we started playing their game the last 3 sets, and it worked for them.
And serving played a big role too, Dan. Augustana 1 service ace, 6 service errors, and then the Dragons 8 aces and only 4 errors.
Yeah, it's really impressive for Moorhead. We mentioned that going into the match. They're the only team that I had seen that had more aces than they had errors. Almost every team in the conference, if not the country, is going to have more errors than aces, just because aces are so hard to get, especially in our conference. So for Moorhead to do that, we knew they were going to be a great serving team. And like I said, unfortunately, we fundamentally broke down. It wasn't anything that they were doing physically we couldn't catch up to. They kind of remind me of my favorite pitcher in baseball, Greg Maddux. He'll just change speeds, he'll change locations, and he just always keeps you on your toes. Moorhead did a great job of that, never letting our passers get comfortable.
All right, Saturday then, Aberdeen Vikings drop a straight set match to the second-ranked Northern State Wolves. Augie drops the first set 25-16. Set number 2, Northern used an 11-6 lead to beat Augustana 25-23. Third set, won the first point of the set. First time in the last 6 sets that Augustana has won the first point, a lead of 6 points, and then that 10-1 run by Northern.
Yeah, the 10-1 run was that was a low point of the weekend. We just couldn't offensively get going, and it wasn't really so much what Northern was doing. You could just see us kind of tighten up on our side. And the theme for the weekend, I've said a lot, was a fundamental breakdown, but it would either be a fundamental breakdown in passing, where we had a bad pass, which we couldn't better the ball, or we got a good pass and then we had a set that the tempo was off, and then maybe we had a good pass and set, then of course we would just make an untimely error. So it seemed to just kind of snowball from there, and the fundamentals really broke down.
All right, Ashley Wilson, consecutive nights in double-digit kills. She had 10 in that match, and Lauren Waite with 19 and 11 on the weekend.
Yeah, those two in particular are doing a nice job for us, but we really look at, the way that our team is going to be our best is if everybody's a complementary player. So we can't lean on one person and say, we're going to win or lose based on what you do. So those numbers are great to have, but those need to be the numbers that we have with, 2 or 3 other kids getting 10 to 11 kills. We really kind of distribute the wealth on our team. We don't lean or rely so heavily on one player. So it's a total team effort, and that's kind of the theme for our program, and that's what we pride ourselves on, and that's what we're looking for this weekend.
All right, as we talk about that drive to the postseason, it's a big weekend. Final home matches for the regular season for Augustana. Friday against Minnesota State, then Saturday afternoon against Concordia St. Paul.
Yeah, so Friday is a shot up redemption for us with Mankato. We felt like we let one get away at their place. So we're looking for a great match against them. They have a really, really good middle who, even if it's a bad pass, they'll fling the ball up to her in the middle of the court. We've made some really good adjustments defending that exact set because we've seen it from some other teams. So we feel like we're going to have a much better effort against her and Mankato on Friday. And then Saturday, senior night, we've got 3 great setters. Marissa Johnson, our captain, is one of them. She hasn't started in the last couple of months, but we've already made the decision. She's earned an opportunity to start against Concordia, and we're going to go with her and Sydney Hunsley, our other senior. We feel like we have 2 really strong seniors, so it'll be a great night to honor them and give them an opportunity to get after a really good Concordia team.
Well, best of luck in the home stretch, Dan.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Carla?
The volleyball team will have home court advantage this weekend against Minnesota State on Friday and Concordia St. Paul on Saturday. Well, last week we told you about the men's cross-country team's recent success, and we want to introduce you to one of those runners. We're going to have all that and more right after this break.
The specialists are so important because they're the ones that can take your team from average to great. The guys that have their specialized roles and understand them and do them really well, those guys are hard to find. And so when you have those guys that are good at what they do and believe in what they're doing, don't care too much about who gets the credit, and want to go out and prove something, I think that is probably the most important ingredient in a successful team.
Choose the experts. Choose Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
What's up? Feeding my water softener again.
You should get Culligan water, man. My Culligan system is the world's most efficient water softener. It's 46% more efficient than your old softener. Hey, Culligan man.
Nice.
Welcome back. Well, last week we told you that the men's cross-country team won their 7th consecutive NSIC title, and now we want to introduce you to one of the runners that helped contribute to that win. Keegan Carter is a junior here at Augie, and he's originally from Sioux Falls, where he graduated from Washington High School. Bill Gross joins Keegan now to talk about his accomplishments and his time here at Augustana.
Well, thanks, Carla, and welcome back. With me now is Keegan Sarda, outstanding Augustana cross-country runner. And Keegan, we have a lot to talk about today, but before we get to Augustana cross country, let's back up and talk about the decision you had to make following a great career at Washington High School here in Sioux Falls of where you were going to go to college and where you were going to run. Why did you choose Augustana?
Well, really my decision came down to just 2 schools essentially. It was between here and South Dakota State University, and I knew I really wanted to run. And my senior year in high school was probably the best season I've had, or in high school anyways. And so I visited SDSU and I met with the coach and I learned about their program, and then I visited Augie, and it was just no comparison for me. Just the team aspect, the culture, the campus at Augie, it all just seemed like it clicked really well, and it seemed like a place where I could fit.
Well, so yeah, we're glad you're here and you've done a great job.
Thank you.
The Vikings, last Saturday up in the Twin Cities, claimed their 7th consecutive NSIC Men's Cross Country Championship. This guy's a big part of that. He finished 2nd to Glenn Ellingson, another of his guys on the team, one of the teammates. And Keegan, talk about the team and the victory and how the race went.
Well, going in, we knew we wanted to win, and obviously we want to keep this streak alive for as long as we can. And so we just wanted to dominate the race and take control of it, and I think we definitely did a good job at that. And so right away we got out to the front, and Glenn and Harold and I, we were right in the front, and we just kind of controlled the race, and Glenn did a great job of taking it out and leading it. And so then after about 3 kilometers, he and I and a USF runner, Jace Kraft, were kind of up front, and we were just working to break away from the pack as much as we could. And then eventually it was just Glenn and I, and after about 7 kilometers, he took off, and eventually, he came away with the win, and I took 2nd, and just really happy with the weekend. So
yeah, great race, great victory for the Vikings. And next up is the regional competition, then the national competition, and the goals for the Vikings this year are?
Well, obviously, any team is looking to win, so if we could win a national title, that would be, huge. That's, the best you could possibly do. So I think there's about, 4 or 5 teams that could win it on any given day. And this is a really special year because in past years it's been kind of set, you know, people know this team's going to win because they're clearly the best, but it's not really the case this year. So I think if we can put everything together on the right day and everybody has their best day, I think it's definitely possible.
Well, we sure hope so. So go Vikings. Well, Keegan, you have been running quite a while now. We talked a little before we went on the air how you got into cross country and fallen in love with it. What do you like about running all that distance?
Yeah, I don't know. People ask me that all the time, and it's sort of like it's a love-hate because sometimes running just sucks. It's hard. So, but I don't know. There's just something really freeing about it, and you know, every day at practice you get to go out and run with your friends, and if you have a bad day, you go out and run for an hour, I guarantee you'll probably feel better. So it's a big stress reliever, and obviously the team aspect and the team culture is really important too. I've met some of my best friends through the team, and just the competitive nature of cross country, I like that as well. It's just, you know, each person's out there battling against everybody else, and it's just who wants it more at the end of the day. So
right. Well, folks out there that have watched cross country probably figure this is just an individual sport, but at Augustana, this is a big team sport. You guys really rally around each other. As you mentioned, it's a great team culture.
Yeah, exactly. The team is so important. Like you said, people think cross country is an individual sport, and in some sense it is because you're kind of racing out there on your own, but you also have your teammates around you. And I think it's one of the epitomes of a team sport because you can't win unless you have 5 guys doing the best they can. Yeah,
it's a wonderful thing to watch, and of course we have a great event here each year, the Twilight, which is so much fun. Keegan, let's switch gears a little bit. What's your major, and what do you think you might want to do?
I'm studying government and business. So I originally came in undeclared, and then I decided on government, and then shortly after that I wanted to pick up business as well. And I don't really have a whole lot of plans after college right now. I still have this year, and then I'm going to come back for another semester to finish my last cross-country season.
Next fall.
Yep. And then after that, I'd like to, you know, enter the business world and maybe do something in the marketing field, or if I want to use my government major, I think it'd be interesting to help out with a senator's office here in town or something along those lines.
That'd be wonderful. Well, folks, you can see that Keegan is quite a leader for the Vikings, quite a young man, both as a student and an athlete. Thanks for being with us, Keegan.
Thank you for having me.
And let's bring home a national championship.
All right, thank you.
Back to you, Carla.
And here's a look at the upcoming week for your Vikings. Keep up with all the latest information on the Vikings at GoAugie.com. I'm your host, Carla Metts. We'll see you next week.